Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Daily Teachings Lotto Friday Special. Before we start, quick disclaimer, anything we discuss is just for educational purpose, nothing is a financial advice. Hopefully everybody had an amazing week, everybody had an amazing Friday. So this Friday was really good because there were a lot of hard sectors that were running. There was definitely some bearish sectors. We did not really focus too much on SPY and QQQs today because it was kind of a choppy range bound day. I talked about the GEX levels, it was in the range bound. But definitely there were opportunities. We killed it in the community today. We were almost 70% green, 18% people were red, 70% green, and really killed with a lot of trade. Really killed it on the Lotto options. If you have watched my previous videos on how to trade the Lotto options, the risk reward Lotto options, you can see that how the traders were making over couple 100% on the Lotto options, and just really insane day in the community. So we're going to discuss a lot. I'm going to do a quick introduction to anybody who's new to my YouTube, new to our X accounts, and new to our community. All these trade recaps and all these teachings are from anything that I share on X or YouTube, or mainly from my community. Tenet Trade Group, one of the largest online trading, educational trading community, not an alert service, where we trade our repeatable system, our repeatable setups. System is how you trade, setup is what you trade. I have been teaching on X, on YouTube, on ripstereducation.com for over 8-9 years. My free education has changed a lot of lives because we trade a rule-based trading, the best trading system out there, with real proof that I show you every day, and the real setups. And so we make a pre-market plan every day. I'm live on the pre-market half an hour before the market open. My team creates a plan in the pre-market, and we have earning plays, news plays, we have upgrades, downgrades. We make initial plan, support resistance levels, MTF cloud levels, and I give an initial plan to the traders how to trade those setups, but they need to know these setups. We have 10-15 setups that we trade every day. Setup is based upon the rules, Ripster Cloud rules. If you're trading intraday, or even if you trade swing trade, we have defined rules. We also share other levels for the ETFs and Mag 7s, provide that to the traders in the pre-market. We also trade futures. These levels are also provided so the traders can trade using my repeatable system. We also trade low floats. We trade IPOs. There's also a strategy called a day 2 strategy, one of the strategy I invented that helps us to find a lot of nice big movers that we will talk about today as well, like MRVL, BE, so they were our day 2 setup. So we're going to talk about it. We have a lot of trade setups to discuss. That was our day 2 strategy. I'm usually on the voice. At the open. I'm on the live screen. I'm usually guiding my traders what trade to take, what is a good trade, and guiding them, if we need to exit or whatever targets. So my traders learn from it, and that's what I try to show you every day. So you guys can also learn. Even if you are not in the community, you can learn and you can execute yourself. All you need is a Ripster Cloud System, which is freely available on many prep platforms. Our community has a lot of tools. We have 3 stock scanners, we have option flow tools, we have halt, unhalt, order flow, breaking news alerts. A lot of tools which are worth $500-600 are free for traders who join the community. So anyways, let's start with a recap. Friday Lotto special. And if you didn't have a good day, if you missed these runners, or if you had just the losers were bigger than the winners, pay attention, and watch my other YouTube recaps as well. And let's start. So I'm going to first start with the sector analysis, right? So today the semiconductors were up huge. Why were they up in the pre-market? Because Taiwan Semi, which is the backbone of the big semiconductor ecosystem, reported big year-by-year revenue that grew for the March and above consensus. So that was a pretty bullish for the whole semiconductor sector. So in the pre-market, we noticed SOXL, the semi ETF. We made a plan for that, and we'll talk about NVDA, AMD, all of those, right? So let's start with SOXL. Whenever the semiconductor, how do you see that? You always need to have your pre-market ETF scanner. We have those scanners in the community. You can also create those in TradingView. Semiconductor list. I usually look at it. What is gapping up? The whole sector was gapping up, so I knew the whole ETF was gapping up. So I knew it's a good day to trade the semiconductors. So let's take a look at, let's start with NVIDIA. All right, so let's take a look at NVIDIA. So what was our plan on NVIDIA here? Let's go back here. Then we will look at the ETF as well. But NVIDIA, the plan was simple. In the pre-market, I told the traders, let's take a look here. So I told the traders in the pre-market planning, right here. So I told the traders in the pre-market, semis are bullish. Look for long unless market is heavy. But sometimes it's more relative strength. It doesn't really matter. So more relative strength. So NVIDIA, which was a super duper strong today, their support 183.50, resistance 184.50. Once we will get out of that, we see higher. So as soon as it was broke out of the 184.50, I told the trader it's a long, and as it started to move up, we moved the stops up. I was on the voice. I gave the target on NVIDIA of 190 on NVIDIA. Let's see here. Yeah, so there was a lot of flow. Also, something you need to do on Friday, you need to watch the flow. There's a lot of flow coming in on Friday, 0DT flow. If the flow comes in, so how the flow comes in the 0DT, that gives you an added conviction, right? So we are riding those clouds. We have this 10 AM flag, and we're going to push it to the 190 target that I gave. Let's see here. Yeah, so I was on a voice as well. I said it's everything, just to make sure you guys don't think it's a hindsight. I told everyone it's a super duper strong, super duper long, and 187.50 flow was coming in on NVIDIA. The target I gave was 190, and we did hit that 190 target in the morning, right? So when you're trading the options on these names on a Friday Lotto, I often teach you that your risk is 100%. You can always trade a NVDL. You can trade the leverage ETF if you want. Let me show you that. So you can trade NVDL, buy 1,000 shares, make $4,000. You're risking $500, $600, $700, but you hold. You watch this flag, you hold. You take it all the way up. The reasoning, because semis were strong. It was breaking out of the pivot. It's pushing out of all the MTF clouds. Or, you can trade the options on a Lotto Friday. Let's take a look here. Assumed risk on Lotto options is always 100%, although we don't want to lose 100%. So let's, the traders on 185 calls, if you're seeing the 185 call flow in. So let's see, the traders got entry at 150, right? So you got double your entry by the time we hit this midday flag breakout. 185 went from like $1 all the way to $460. You could literally turn $1,000 to $4,000, but you need to scale out, right? Once you hit 100%, you scale out half your position, or you can even scale out full your position, and then you could buy further options that if let's say you buy 187 flow was coming in, you get that one out at 3. You buy, let's say you made $3,000, you buy for $500. This one goes from $1.17 to $2, and you make another few $100s there. So you maximize your potential there. Remember, you do not put your whole portfolio in the Lotto options. If watch my risk management webinar, if you lose on every trade, if you max loss is 500, you should only have a $500 Lotto option, right? And you don't have to trade Lotto options. You can trade next week's options. Of course, shares are always preferred, but since this is a Friday Lotto option special, that's why I'm discussing those Lotto options, right? So they're very liquid. You have to change it. If let's say your account is $10,000, you don't have to buy $10,000 worth of Lotto options, especially for the small accounts. You buy $200, $300, which are willing to lose it all, and then you hold, turn that 200 into 500, right? So that's what the trade you want to do. So let's look at the next setup here. So next setup was same, semiconductor long. It was in our AMD long. Let's take a look at AMD. So as AMD, as well, let's look at our the levels on the AMD. So 237, 95, 239. So as soon as this 239 break, it's a long. So you take in right away. These are the amateur moves. You got to be ready for the amateur move. If you miss the amateur move, then even then your risk is still the same, 239, this area, right? Once you break it, you take it higher, 250, pulled back. I actually mentioned the AMD curls. When it was curling right here on the voice, I told the traders to take this curl on AMD, and that AMD, and I told the traders to put the stops at 244. You can see that 1030 pullback. No need to panic. Ripster clouds are holding there. This is the previous high, holding 244. This is your stop, and then you take it back to 250. You make another $3-4 of worth of profit. So that was AMD. Let's look at the semiconductor ETF. If you don't just want to trade the whole sector, you can trade the semiconductor ETF, SOXL, in the pre-market. Good for small accounts if you want. In the pre-market, I clearly mentioned the SOXL plan. SEMIs up huge, big daily breakout. Watch all semis over the 75. You could take it long over 75 to 77.50. Make a trade there on semiconductors. And as you see that if we go to our our semiconductor and AI all infrastructure, you will see that most of them were super duper strong today. Most of them were super duper crazy strong. Even SMCI was strong. Let's take a look here. Other names here. AVGO was strong. I mentioned the AVGO flow right at the open. You can see that a lot of bullish flow on AVGO because I watch the flow, right? So when I watch the flow, I know that semiconductor is a pretty strong. Their semiconductor name is pretty strong. You can see the level on AVGO 360. You take it long over that, and and right when the flow comes. And a lot of traders made really good returns on that AVGO when it ran from 360 all the way to 360.75. This won't happen if you are not ready in the pre-market. You got to be ready. You can see the traders were made 200% gains on AVGO because of a semiconductor. Praxis made 200% on ARM. Semiconductor. Jojo made 200% on NVDA. Semiconductor. 200% here AVGO. Semiconductor. NVIDIA. Intel was strong. So you could literally take any of those strong semiconductor setups. So you just need to find those hot sectors in the pre-market planning. You need to see what is the news behind it. Why was the semiconductor strong? Because of the Taiwan semi news. Everything is gapping up. All the semiconductors are gapping up. Have your lists ready. Watch my other recaps. I show you how to prepare those lists so you are not lost at the open and you could take this long. So beautiful longs on all the semiconductors. No hindsight, pre-market planning, live guidance, voice, screenshot guidance, beautiful trades on those semiconductors for us. All right, so next we're going to look at NBIS and the whole ecosystem, which is called the Neo Cloud, right? So if we go to our Tanner Research platform, our new upcoming investing swing trading platform. So let's go and take a look at our list of the Neo Clouds. Let's find out. Let's see. Let's just go to NBIS. We go to NBIS, and then we can find our Neo Cloud list. Okay, so you can see that how the Neo Clouds are all strong. What is a Neo Cloud? Neo Cloud are data centers which provide the data centers for these companies who are trying to produce artificial intelligence products. So the top leaders are CRWV, NBIS, IREN. We also have some other names. CIFR was also good. Wolf is also there. So this is a Neo Cloud data center. So now what was the news in the pre-market? So news in the pre-market was pretty huge. The big news was CRWV signs a multi-year deal, and we'll take a look at CRWV as well. But the beneficiary was also NBIS and IREN. NBIS, I have been talking about how strong it is. NBIS was our number one day to long setup. Bullish bias over yesterday highs breakout. Whenever I put something on the top of the day two setups, make sure you guys pay attention. You can see that how this NBIS, once it broke out over that 136.55, we continue to push higher. But as soon as I see that, right away I'm on the voice. I tell my traders that NBIS long, IREN long, both of those are our Neo Cloud names. Of course, NBIS was our top day too, but we always watch the other Neo Clouds name as well. I did tweet out as well about how NBIS and IREN are the super duper strong names today. So IREN and NBIS long on the CRWV news. I told the traders, and let's see, our first target I gave on NBIS was right here, 144 target. We hit 144 pretty quickly. You can see that. Next target I gave was 148, and the third target I gave was 150. Although I told the traders to lock everything, 70% of your positions when you're hitting that when you're hitting that 148 area. So let's look at how the options did. So as soon as you get in the options, you know there's a bullish news on CRWV. You look for something good delta and something that if it pulls back, you are willing to lose that money right there. So a lot of traders were in 140 calls, because I don't mind losing $100 if I'm making $700-800, right? So even if you got at $2, you're risking $200. That's fine, right? Let's say you have $5,000 account and you know you want to risk 200, no more, no less. You turn that 200 into 800, you know, 10% gain on your small $5,000 account. That's how you want to trade the Lotto options, not that you put your whole account in there. So NBIS, the 140 Lottos went from $1.50 to $2. By the time I told the traders to lock 70%, it was already hitting $8, 300-400% returns on this name. You know, similarly, you could trade IREN as well. That was a pretty good move there on Neo Clouds as well. So let's look at the stock which mainly had news. It was a little different. Of course, NBIS was our top day two strategy, and it was a day two setup. Now, what was CRWV? So initially we were focused on IREN and NBIS, but a lot of my traders were also focused on CRWV. So I told them bullish bias over yesterday highs, no go under 92. Bullish bias over yesterday highs, no go under 92. So what does that mean? That means if CRWV, you can buy it as long as it's over 92, right? So it's holding 92, and this is called 512 Ripster curls. Then was 10-minute chart. This is your breakout of yesterday highs. This is where you long. Your stops on 93. You don't want to risk 92 now because you're adding here. You could risk 92 right here. So you're risking $1. And you're making $10. So I told the traders 100 is a magnet. Once we broke out of this pre-market highs, I told the traders 100 is the magnet. You can roll into the further calls. You know, we are going next target 102.80. We hit 102.80 target pretty soon. Then I told the traders to roll into 1.5 calls because we're gonna go to the 1.5 calls, and that's exactly what happened. We pushed higher toward the 105 calls. We actually almost hit 106. Now, if you want to look at the options, how the CRWV options traded, same concept that like I just told you, you know, once the stock is trading close to 92, you look at delta, how much will you lose on your option if it pulls back $1, right? If it's a delta is 50, then you can, you know, it will lose $2 if it's dumps to $1, right? So oh, it will lose $1 if it dumps $1. So if you do trading that delta. But anyways, so let's see. Once we are getting there, the traders we're trading 95 calls. I tell them to stay close to the money. When we saw this curl, you get in at the $2, $200, $400. What are you willing to lose? But assume 100% risk. Although if it broke under, you would have lost 50%. So 50% you would have lost and you would have got out. But what did you get? You got 400%. That's the trade you want to do. If your Lotto option is not going to give you 100%, you have no business trading Lotto options, right? Trade leverage ETFs, trade shares, you know, all of these stocks have leverage ETFs. I always teach you trade leverage ETFs. But this is how you grow your small account. This is how on a Lotto option, a day like today, you find these hot sectors, these hot themes, you make those good gains, you know, not like challenge account following gurus who are, you know, showing you how to grow insane account. No, because more times you do this, more times you're turning your $100, $200, $300, $400 into $1,000. Your losers are $100, $200. Your account will grow. Now, if you have big account, of course, you know, if you're a big account, you don't really need to trade options. You trade shares, risking every time the same amount. Let's say if you're trading CRWV, even if you had, you know, 500 shares, you risk $1,000. End of the day, you're making 3, 4, 5 grand. Of course, you scale out as we go higher. You can see that NBIS 100%, trader had those, NBIS 100%, you know, trader had on MRVL, we'll discuss that later. NBIS 200%, IREN 200%, NBIS 150%, 200% here, 200. So no, but none of my traders are actually, they're making double the money, right? Triple the money. So that's the trade you want to do, as you know, on when you're trading a lot of options. That's my teaching. That's how my traders are consistently growing their accounts, because you don't go crazy. You look for slow, steady gains where your heart is not beating, you're not panicking. All right, let's go to the next one. So next one was a Lilly. Next one was Lilly. So what was happening with Lilly today? So let's take a look here. Lilly had a news. They launched an obesity drug competing with Wegovy. We will short under the 1 hour MTF. Simple plan. And right at the open, boom, you could short there too if you want. But this is where the real short came in. That's when I told the traders, Lilly, short any pop to the MTF. You got this pop to the MTF, your stops at 950, you short it, take all the way to 938, $10 per share profit. As it starts to move down, you can see that I also gave the stops to the traders to have 950 to 952, and then once it was down here, I told the traders to put stops at 940, 942. You could also trade Lilly X, cheaper options, because Lilly options are spready. You don't need too many, right? You just need need less there. So you trade the put options there. There, let's see if we have today's expiry there, usually illiquid, so you gotta trade those. It did bounce a lot. Let's see here. So you could trade Lilly X, just short those Lilly X leverage ETFs, make the money trading those. But anyways, that was a short on Lilly X, almost $10 to $15 short where you entered. So next we're going to talk about CAR. I have been talking about CAR every day. I did make a short video yesterday. I just want to talk about the calls. The whole world wants to short it, but I told the traders as long as 1 hour MTF clouds hold, it's not a short. Because if you look at it that I discussed a few days back, it has been holding that. The plan was simple: 300 psychological setup, long over 300. Profit taking expected under 293 or 350 450 EMA break. So the plan was clearly given to the traders. As I told, the profit taking expected. A lot of traders were short on CAR. They shorted the CAR from 350 to the MTF magnet in the community, and they made money that way. Consistent, repeatable setups. 3450 to the MTF clouds. A lot of traders were short there as well. Gupin made 100% there on his short. Renegade called out the short on CAR. So you can see that. Now, when I told that warn the traders, make sure you cover your short if you bounce from MTF clouds. That's exactly what happens. So, I told them it's 512 reclaim. This is called 512 reclaim right here. I told them you could long here 272, 270, stops at 268, and it started to move. I moved the stops up to 278, then it moved higher. We moved the stops to 288, and I told the traders we are going to hit 300, right? So we're going to sit 300. RGV took some off at 300. Lion King also traded the 300 from the call. So you could literally make $15 to $18 per share profit. You're risking $2 to $3 there. You're risking $100, you're making $600 on the long if you have 100 shares, for example. So that's how you're going to do it. That's how your risk management works. So let's look at some other names here. I just want to talk about a few of our day 2 setups. Then we'll talk about a couple of losers we had today. All right, let's take a look here. Let's start with the MRVL. All right, we're going to look at MRVL daily chart here. So MRVL, just first of all, my thesis that I've been talking about. One of the hottest name, hottest investment name, impressive numbers. It's also one of our 10 at top investing portfolio, top 30 name, MRVL. Talking about the fundamentals, revenue growth, EPS growth. I can keep going on about it. We have, we have our investment thesis on MRVL there as well. So, so today the plan was simple. Let's take a look at the plan on the MRVL here. Plan on MRVL was simple. Bullish bias to long over 125 over 512 calls. So what did MRVL do? MRVL pushed over the 125. That's exactly where it became long. That became long. Day 2 setup. I don't even need to tell my traders. They're already long on MRVL. Of course, the swing traders are already making money. We broke out of the big here. We broke out of the all-time highs. Always look at your daily chart. We broke out of this, I think it was 52-week high. So, and you can see that the timestamp guidance, like traders, D-Tradesman was on the MRVL all time. Cole gave a long on that. Ben gave a long on the MRVL, and we traded it all the way to 130, right? So you could see that holding the pre-market highs, You don't get out, breaking out of the flag, you hold, holding the clouds, you hold, you take it all the way to 121. Small size on the MRVL options. You could literally take it from $1 to $4. You could turn your $1,000 into $4,000, $100 into $400. So that was MRVL day 2 setup. Let's look at BE day 2 setup. BE, again, one of my conviction names. All these names I have been talking now when we launch Standard Research, they will be there for any traders who want to learn and follow these swing setups. Highest conviction, beautiful, top investing name. I've been saying it since January. Yes, we were shorting these names when the market was down, but a lot of my traders, my followers know when I give them some of the hottest names. We are always on top of the hottest names in the market, and we got those names long today as well. So a lot of traders were long on those names. Let's take a look. BE. You can see that a lot of traders were on top of BE, TD Trades, PowerDo. Everybody was long, and they took it all the way from 162 to 170. You just need to know what stocks are hot, right? So all these names were really hot. MRVL was hot because AI ecosystem was hot. Some of the photonic names were hot. So that's why those names were strong. So you need to keep eyes on those. So those were our day 2, day 3 setups. We are always ready. And that's how we find the hottest names in the market. All right, let's look at next one. Next one, we're going to look at Tesla. Tesla was our break-even scratch or loser for some traders who added it a little later. So let's call it a loser trade for the day. I gave the long at the morning versus 346, and then I told the traders to use 345 stops. It kept bouncing from 345. I told them if you have a bad entry, exit. And once it broke down, we just got out, took a $2 to $3 loss. The options we had lost 50% there. So just like I said, a lot of options need to have 50%, 100% risk there as well. So let's look at something else. There was some amateur move which didn't work out because the short didn't work out. That was Micron and SNDK. So they dumped in the morning. SNDK short actually worked. They dumped in the morning. SNDK told the traders to avoid longs, amateur short. SNDK, you could short it right at this 3450 drop. Wait for the pop, closer to the clouds is better. Short it all the way, curl it right here. And similarly, it was Micron, but Micron was a loser. It did not work because Micron kind of, reclaimed 512. We shorted here, it pushed, we got out. So Micron was a loser short, and then SNDK was a good winner short there. All right, so now we talked about the hot sectors, and now we also need to talk about the weak sectors. What is weak? Software, IGV. So you guys know, I even tweeted about it, that how IGV is a sector which is so weak. The reason behind why IGV is weak is Anthropic launched just another product which is supposed to be very bad for software names. IGV is breaking. That's why we have every day we have a plan for these stocks. We have a plan here. IGV, tech and software names selling off. Software who sell off. Follow the day 2 rules. I'm just not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to show you. Palo Alto short under 1 hour MTF. CrowdStrike short under 399. Now short under that 87.55 levels. So you can see that. I don't even need to tell you that. I'll just show you how traders made money there. Palo Alto, all day MTF breakdown, break from MTF short all the way down. CrowdStrike short. We'll discuss the PLTR in a bit here, but I want to show you how the traders were short and making money on all these software shorts. I was on The Voice in the morning. I told the traders that how all these names are super duper heavy, no long on those names, and you can see that how the traders were on now. DDAO was on a short on now. A lot of traders just Crawfish made 170% short on now. Nash shorted Snow. If the whole sector is weak, you need to know that, right? So you can see that the whole sector, if we go to our SaaS Clouds name, you can see that the whole sector just completely destroyed. So there's always opportunities to find those setups and short it. So those were just very good short setups that a lot of traders did short it, and that was our short on the software names. And let's look at PLTR. So PLTR, we were nicely short on PLTR. But the Trump pump came and we had to step out. But before that, we had already made money on PTLR short. It was a day 3 short. Why? Powell and Besant are meeting because to discuss the risks of Anthropic, right? So it's real. So Anthropic had that news, and then we had our plan on PTLR in our day 2 planning. Highlighted as a red. Bearish bias to short under yesterday lows was a simple plan. As soon as it breaks yesterday lows, you short it. Told the traders if it breaks 125, we are going to 120 and 122 first half. We did almost hit a 120 target, but then the Trump pump came, so we exited the shorts over that 512 clouds. Always look at Ripster clouds. Don't have a bias. Do whatever the Ripster clouds tell you. So you could see that how the traders were short. Anthony, trader price, Arun, frying pan, Madhav. All of these traders were short and making insane profits and on these names. This is how we shorted Tesla for 3 days in a row. Look at the clouds. Write the clouds down. You do not buy under the clouds. Look at 3450s. Writing down. Look at the 1 hour. Since PTLR broke the 1 hour MTF cloud, PTLR never recovered. All right, guys. So that was the for today. Hopefully you guys learned a lot. Hopefully you would know how to trade the Lotto options, both on the upside and on the downside. Thank you. Have a great weekend. See you later. Bye bye.